Hello, this is High Templar with a new episode of my Total War Warhammer DLC Speculation videos, and today we'll be talking about the Chaos Demons. Again, this will be second part about the Chaos Demons as a possible DLC, as a possible army that we will get, because Creative Assembly told us that we will get all the armies, and this is one. However, there are some problems with that, so before I jump into the particular units, I want to quickly explain that. Basically, there is not enough units to fill out the roster if we would divide the Chaos Demons into 4 different factions. It would be enough if you would throw some Chaos Warriors into them, but then we will have 5 factions, which will be pretty similar. And while that was pretty much okay and done in Rome 2, for example, when we had several different Celtic factions, and they played in very similar way. Yes, they have some flavors, but they play in a similar way. In here, so far Creative Assembly has been following very different approach, and they are making those armies very unique. We recently got several different factions, for example, for greenskins, like Bloody Hands and then Crooked Moon, and obviously the greenskins. So we might get those 4 different factions for Chaos Demons, but I'm not sure. I'm not even sure if we will get Chaos Demons, because it would be hard to add them with some. There would have to be an army that pretty much is where the Chaos Warriors are right now. It's possible we'll have them in first expansion. They will be fighting the Dark Elves and so on and so forth. I've already covered that in first video. So let's go back to the units after explaining that. And there are 4 main demons of Chaos. Khorne units will be damage dealers. They will be in tabletop, they have a good charge, they have a good strength, they are dealing a lot of damage, but are not particularly tough. Then we have Lord of Change, the Tzinch, which we already seen in the game, and those guys are magic, and there are some rules in tabletop for Demons of Tzinch that are hard to... It's hard to put them into the Total War Warhammer, but basically Tzinch is all about magic. There is also certain animosity between the demons. Khorne doesn't like Slaanesh, you cannot mix units between them, and Nurgle hates Tzinch, so you can mix Nurgle and Khorne and, well, any other option, but you cannot mix the 2 factions that are hating each other. What else? We have Slaanesh, who is kind of an armor piercing, and he has some special rules. He's not very tough. And we have a Nurgle, who is the absolute opposite. Units for Nurgle are very tanky, and there is a lot of them, actually. More than any other, well, maybe for the Slaanesh there is also a lot of units. Either way, let's start with some basics. And the basic would be Bloodletters of Khorne, who are like small demons. They are obviously a melee unit, hard-hitting melee unit. In tabletop they are not as good if you do not support them. I would expect them to play similarly as Dryads right now. They would be costing probably around 500, there would be probably 100 or 120 of them. They will be dealing a lot more damage than Dryads and will be probably more squishy. That's how I would imagine them, but results may vary. Then we have Pink Horrors of Tzinch. And, well, they are an infantry of a sort. Actually, I've made this division between the infantry and the monsters. It's very arbitrary, as you can see, and there is nothing good or bad I can tell about Pink Horrors of Singe. It should be probably cheaper than the Blood Letters of Khorne, because they are not particularly hard-hitting. They are just like, meh, nothing to see here. Then we have Demonettes of Slaanesh, who are armor-piercing. They should be more squishy than any previous unit, but they would be also good in armor-piercing. So that would be your armor-piercing choice of a unit, probably costing pretty much the same as the Bloodletters, or I would assume similar, maybe slightly more. And then we have more tanky units, those are Plague Bearers of Nurgle, and a lot more tanky, but this is Nurgle, so you will see that a lot. Then we have Plague Toads, which are monstrous unit, and I would see them in the probably 24 would be the best, considering their cost and size in the actual Warhammer. Their cost like 24 points, if my memory serves me well. So there should be less of them than previous units. Maybe you can make a unit of 60, but they shouldn't be particularly good because they are not particularly good, right? And oh yeah, also most of the Nurgle units have poison, mind that. So this is something to remember. And then we have Putrid Blight Kings. Those guys are very hard-hitting, very tough unit that you would normally, and actually are from End of Times, so you technically cannot take them in pure demon army. You would have to have some Chaos Warriors. I'm not sure if we will see them, but they are a good unit. They hit decently and they are tough because Nurgle, obviously. And then we have a range unit of a sort. These are the Flamers of Singe. They are not very high range, but they can pretty much destroy your enemy with the fire attacks. I would imagine them working similar as dwarf infantry units, doing the same thing. So flamer attacks, probably in 12 or 24. I would say 12, but we'll see. Then for the more monstrous units we have, let's start with Furies. So a flying unit that is probably very similar to Harpies right now. I mean, they are pretty hard hitting, and they are fast, and they are flying, so they can actually take out the artillery of your enemy, and even dwarves in tabletop should be afraid of those guys, and they are not particularly expensive as well. I would see them in units of 60 probably. That would be pretty cool if we would see them. Then there are Screamers of Singe, and those guys are definitely, well, they are larger. They really perform more of a role of harassing your enemy, and you normally would mix them in different units, so I don't expect to be a lot of them, probably 12 or 24 in a units, and they are good in tabletop. They are good to if you want to incapacitate like a large very expensive units for the enemy. I absolutely have no idea how those guys would work in the Total War. Really, I have no idea. I mean, I don't know. we will have to wait and see. What I do know how it would work is Nurglings. Those little demons are very nasty, and there is a lot of them, and as you can see, you use them in large bunches, and yeah, they have poison. They can destroy your enemy by poison, and that's pretty much all, actually. So they're more of a speed bump than anything else. They should be very, very cheap. They should be many of them. They should be doing poison attacks. They should be decently tough and doing no damage, or almost no damage. Think like zombies, but slightly better. Right. So going into more formidable beasts, we have a Beasts of Nurgle. And I can't really find good words to describe those guys. They cost around 60 points in tabletop, so that's a lot. That's like 6 times more than your normal unit. That Skaven slaves cost 2 points, so that's like 30 Skaven slaves. So obviously the size of the unit should be 12. And because they are Beasts of Nurgle, they should be pretty much invincible with regeneration, and if you find yourself fighting those guys on the battlefield in Total War Warhammer, you should probably go around them and attack anyone else, because those guys are not dying anytime soon. Then let's go to fun stuff and the cavalry, starting with Blood Crusher of Khorne. And those guys are pretty expensive, but pretty heavy cav, monstrous cav at that, and I would see them at 12 per unit, maybe 24 per unit, but probably 12 per unit. Hard-hitting, monstrous cavalry, and I don't see them as 60 really. If they would be 60, they would be really expensive, like 1500-1600. I know there are units like that already, but those guys are bigger. So yeah. You could argue that there are similar units like the Blood Knights, but I don't know, I just don't know. It would be cool to have a massive, very powerful cavalry unit like that, but they could be also very powerful cavalry unit at size of 24 or even 12 if they are given specific stats, and you should make them charge. That's what they do. Alright, so Seekers of Slaanesh. Seekers of Slaanesh, it's a light cavalry, a poison one. 60 models I would see per unit, and I would say like 600 cost. They are decent cav, but they are light cav. Nothing special, nothing to be prized much. Then we have Flesh Hounds of Khorne. And the Flesh Hounds of Khorne are obviously, if you've seen my videos, you know that I love the dogs in Rome 2, in Total War Warhammer, and those are just upgraded version, and I would love to see them in as many models per unit as the normal hounds, but you know, more expensive, like 900. Or we could get less of them, but in decent, more manageable price of 600, for example. But they should be really fast and really devastating to the enemy, but you know, and scale skin, but bit squishy probably. So yeah, there's that. But I would really love to see those guys in action. I already seen them in some modded versions of Total War Warhammer, and yeah, I really love dogs, and I just missed the opportunity to use them in the later parts of the campaign when you just, you know, have a choice between Chaos Knights and dogs, and you choose Chaos Knights because obviously, but still those guys are useful unit. Very fast, very good at catching all the skirmisher cav and so on. Alright, so having said that, we have another monstrous cavalry with the Fiends of Slaanesh, and I would see them actually 60 in size, probably around more than 1000 cost, because those guys are pretty decent. And you know, Slaanesh, so probably armor piercing and good at charging your enemy and basically trying to break them. Not particularly tough, but yeah, so there's that. And at the last cavalry unit, I would say Pox Riders. In tabletop, they are very bad. They cost almost 50% more than your normal Plague Toads, but they aren't any better, so you wouldn't really see them. And yeah, I would like to see them in the Total Warhammer in either 24 and 60 variety. If 24, they would be obviously pretty weak, like the Plague Toads. In the 60 variety, they should be pretty decent, like Fing Squeakhoppers. Same amount of toughness, I mean, pretty similar role they would play. Although instead of being pretty decent light cav, they would be more in stay there and poison everybody. So yeah. Then let's go to some machines and stuff, and Soul Grinder would be the first one. And if you are not noticing it at very first, this guy is actually throwing a flaming stones at the enemy. So it's a range unit, it's an artillery unit. And I would see them in the 4 size, cost probably around 800, because they are, you know, better than your normal trebuchet, but still kind of a catapult, probably lower range. I mean, definitely lower range, lower than trebuchet for sure. So, but decent at melee, because look at him. We might get it as a single model, though not 4 of them, but single model, and that would be fine also if he's appropriately buffed to make him a decent artillery at similar price range. Then we have Seeker Chariot, and this is very light sighted chariot for the Chaos Demons army, and obviously you don't want to be in the path of the sighted chariot, but it's not the end of it. If you are thinking that's the end of what the chariots are, what the Chaos Demons are bringing you with the chariots, you are mistaken, because there is more. But let's quickly skip to another infantry, which is also a chariot, because Skull Cannon for the Khorne is actually a moving cannon, and I mean that a demon cannon, really, that can move and shoot. So it's dangerous. And I would say single model for this one. Definitely. We've seen already some of moving artillery before, so this should be no surprise. But it's pretty cool. Then we have Hellflyers of Slaanesh, which is buffed version of Seeker Chariot, obviously, though you have more sights, as you can see here. Comparison, right? A lot more is going on there. So more Slaaneshi chariots. And it's not even the end, because we have Exalted Seeker Chariot, where you have 4 beasts and actually 2 sights at both sides. So it is I don't know how to call it, really. It's a masterpiece for chariots. You can tell that Slaanesh has a thing for chariots, as I am. So I also have a thing for chariots. I do love them. But he's going a bit over the board with this, because yeah. But there is also a chariot for someone else, and this is Burning Chariots of Singe. And you can have it in 2 different flavors. But since we haven't seen really a grape shot, I am showing you the flaming one, and this is obviously the Flamer of Singe on the chariot, on the flying chariot, because Screamers of Singe. And this is also very expensive one, and I would say both for the Exalted Seeker Chariot and Burning Chariots of Singe, we are talking in the area, if there will be 4 units of those, we are talking about 2000 costs of a unit, because it's powerful. It's a chariot that can shoot and fly and attack your enemy from flying, like you are using at this moment. In the Wood Elf army you have that option, when you have a pretty nice skirmisher flying unit that can hit pretty hard. So yeah, I'm looking forward to trying those guys when they will show up, if they will show up. And finally, for something more interesting, we have Plague Drones of Nurgle. And those guys are really fantastic. They are slightly less expensive even than the Beasts of Nurgle. By 5 points, true, 55 points. But they are flying Beasts of Nurgle. Flying monstrosities of Nurgle. And Plague Bearers are mounting them, and yeah, it's pretty scary to even think about that, actually. Those guys are pretty awesome, and I would really like to see them, and because they are flying, I would definitely see them at only 12 models per unit, but they should be awesome. Okay, coming quickly to the hero portion of the army, we have Heralds of Khorne, which you should obviously mount on the Blood Crusher and have a pretty hard hitting hero. But that's not the only thing we can have. We can have also Herald of Singe, who is a magic user also. Then we have Heralds of Slaanesh. This is another model of Heralds of Singe, you can see. And finally, Herald of Nurgle, who will be obviously your very, very, very tanky unit. You can see a Nurgling somewhere there on him, and those are pretty cool options, and we should probably see all of them. And if there will be a single army, That would be a lot of different agents and heroes you can use on the battlefield. I would really love to see that. Especially that we have yet another hero option, and this is Exalted Flamer of Tzeentch. And you can just imagine how powerful this guy is. Probably less powerful than an entire unit of Flamer of Tzeentch, but he can be used in a similar way as we use right now the engineers for the dwarves. Alright, so going further, we have Lord level characters, starting with the Demon Prince. So basically a high level demon character, possibly created from one of the Chaos Warriors who achieved demonhood. Pretty cool guys, pretty hard hitting, but otherwise your standard melee lord. Then we have Bloodthirster, obviously for Khorne, and those guys are flying, as you can see from the giant wings. So yeah, those guys are awesome still. Then we have Lords of Change, which we already seen in the actual game, and probably will be less powerful than the one in the game right now, because yeah, I mean, what can I say? As a normal lord, those guys are pretty awesome. Keeper of Secrets, I can't really say anything good or bad about her. Great Unclean One. Well, obviously, I love this guy because you might notice I like Nurgle. And this guy is the tankiest, possibly the tankiest lord you can have in a game, especially your not legendary lord. So possibilities of using this guy are endless, especially if you will be able to mix them. So let's go for the possible legendary lords, starting with the Skarbrand the Exiled One. So he's a Bloodthirster of Khorne, obviously, but he cannot fly. But he is a legendary Bloodthirster of Khorne, so he will be pretty powerful in combat. Think of a difference between, well, really, your standard lord for the greenskins, the orc. Even if you mount him, and then you have your legendary lord, Grimgor Ironhide, who is absolute monster in combat. So Skarbrand the Exiled One should be even harder hitting than Grimgor. He should be, but what can I say about him? Can't really say much because most of their special rules for those guys are never translated into tabletop, into Total War Warhammer, so let's just leave it at that. Then we have Kairos Fateweaver, who is obviously legendary Lord of Change, and this guy probably should be as powerful as the Lord of Change we have right now in the game. He's pretty awesome and he should be a caster, in my opinion at least. And finally we have Kugat the Plague Father, who, as you might expect, is my favorite because he's not dying, like, ever. Never, ever. Yeah, but we will have to see which one of those legendary lords we will see. Maybe we will see all of them. You might have noticed that I missed one of the demons. But there are no Lord level named characters in the Chaos Army right now, except for the another Nurgle lord, which I am not mentioning here because it's actually Isabella von Karstein who was changed into Nurgle. It's complicated and I don't think it will be done this way into War Warhammer, because if you will get Isabella, you should really get her as a vampire. So that's pretty much it. I hope you like it. If you did, press like, comment if you will, and see my other videos. I do Total War videos, DLC analysis and speculation videos, mechanics videos, and let's plays. Also, I'm doing let's plays in different games than Total War series, so you can check them also. Thank you for watching and see you later.